My sister stole my identity, emptied my accounts, and my parents blamed me for not being careful enough. I, 32 female, am at my absolute wit's end. I don't even know where to begin, or if this is the right place, but I feel like I'm screaming into a void and no one is listening. I need advice, support, anything, because my entire life has been systematically dismantled by my own sister, and my parents are acting like I'm the one who caused it. Let's start with my sister, Clara, 30 female. Clara has always been the difficult one. From a young age, she was manipulative, self-centered, and had a penchant for getting into trouble. My parents, bless their hearts, always saw it as her being spirited or misunderstood. I, on the other hand, was the quiet, responsible older sister, the one who got good grades, followed rules, and generally tried to keep the peace. This dynamic meant that Clara always got a pass, and I was expected to pick up the pieces or simply tolerate her behavior. There's a long history of her borrowing my clothes and never returning them, forgetting to pay me back for things, or just generally making my life harder. But nothing, absolutely nothing, could have prepared me for what she did recently. About 6 months ago, I started noticing some odd charges on my credit card statements. Small things at first: a streaming service I didn't subscribe to, a few fast food orders in a city I hadn't visited. I figured it was a data breach, cancelled the card, and moved on. Then, a few weeks later, my bank called me about a suspicious withdrawal from my checking account. A significant amount, too large to be an error. This sent alarm bells ringing. I froze all my accounts, changed all my passwords, and started a full investigation. What I uncovered was a nightmare. It wasn't a data breach. It was Clara. She had somehow gotten hold of my personal information, my social security number, my date of birth, even my mother's maiden name. I still don't know exactly how, but she used it to open new credit cards in my name, take out small loans, and even redirect my mail to a PO box she had set up. She meticulously went through my online accounts, changing passwords, setting up two-factor authentication to her own phone, and essentially locking me out of my own digital life. The initial small charges were just the tip of the iceberg. Over the course of several months, she had systematically drained my savings account, maxed out several credit cards, and taken out multiple payday loans under my name. My credit score, which I had worked years to build, was utterly destroyed. I'm talking hundreds of points plummeting into the abysmal range. When I finally confronted her, armed with undeniable evidence from the bank and credit card companies, she initially denied everything. Cried, played the victim, said I was attacking her and that she would never do something like that. But the proof was irrefutable. Bank statements with her name on transactions, security camera footage from ATMs, IP addresses linking to her home computer. When I laid it all out, she finally cracked. Her excuse: she was struggling. She had lost her job, which I hadn't known about because she never tells anyone anything. Her rent was due, and she needed money. She claimed she was going to pay it all back, and that it was just a temporary thing. As if identity theft, financial ruin, and emotional devastation are temporary things. She acted like I was being unreasonable for being upset, for being so dramatic about a few $1,000s. A few $1,000s that amounted to over $60,000 in debt, not to mention the countless hours I've spent trying to untangle this mess and repair my credit. I immediately went to my parents. I thought, surely, they would understand the gravity of the situation. Surely, they would be as appalled and outraged as I was. I was wrong. Their reaction was, frankly, horrifying. My mother, 60 female, cried, not for me, but for Clara. "Oh, my poor Clara," she wailed. "She must have been so desperate." My father, 62 male, was more pragmatic, but equally unhelpful. He said, "Well, you should have been more careful with your information. This wouldn't have happened if you were more vigilant." More careful. She's my sister. I never imagined in a million years that my own sibling would go to such lengths to destroy my life. I had my documents in a secure place. I had strong passwords. I did everything right. How was I supposed to guard against my own sister stealing my identity? It felt like they were blaming me for being the victim that I tried to explain the severe consequences. The ruined credit, the inability to get a loan for a new car, my old one is on its last legs, the constant fear of what else she might have done, the sheer betrayal. They just looked at me with a mix of pity and exasperation. Can't you just work something out with her? My mother suggested. She's family, after all. You don't want to ruin her life over a bit of money. A bit of money? This isn't a bit of money. This is my future, my financial stability, my sense of security, all gone up in smoke because of her recklessness and my parents' baffling inability to hold her accountable that I told them I was going to the police. That's when things really escalated. My parents absolutely lost it. My father threatened to cut me off, saying I was destroying the family. My mother pleaded with me, crying and saying I would send Clara to jail and ruin her future. They painted me as the villain, the cruel older sister who was going to throw her struggling sibling under the bus. I stood my ground, though my hands were shaking and tears were streaming down my face. I told them that Clara had already ruined my future, and that if they wouldn't support me in seeking justice, then I didn't know what kind of family we were. They have essentially ostracized me since. They refuse to answer my calls, they tell me I'm overreacting, and they constantly try to guilt-trip me into dropping the charges that I did go to the police. It's been a long, slow process. The police officer assigned to my case was sympathetic but warned me that prosecuting a family member, especially for financial crimes, can be incredibly complex and emotionally draining. Clara was arrested, though she was released on bail, and now she's out there, presumably still struggling, while I'm left to pick up the pieces of my shattered life. The legal fees are piling up, even with a public defender. I'm having to take time off work for court appearances and meetings with lawyers. My employer has been understanding, but it's affecting my performance. I'm constantly stressed, anxious, and sleep-deprived. Every time my phone rings, I dread it. Every time I check my mail, I expect another bill or a notice about something else Clara has done. My relationship with my parents is non-existent. They refuse to speak to me directly unless it's to berate me for pursuing legal action. They constantly text me passive-aggressive messages about family loyalty and forgiveness. My mother even called my aunt to complain about me, portraying me as this heartless individual who is trying to destroy my sister's life. My aunt, to her credit, called me to ask for my side of the story, and she was appalled by what she heard. She's been incredibly supportive, offering to help with legal fees and just being someone to talk to. But her support doesn't mitigate the profound pain of being abandoned by my own parents that I'm now living with a constant sense of betrayal and anger. It's not just the money, though that's a huge part of it. It's the violation of trust, the feeling that my own family would rather protect a criminal than support their victim. It's the realization that my parents' love for Clara is so unconditional that it completely eclipses any sense of justice or fairness for me that I'm trying to rebuild my life. I've been working with a credit repair agency, which is a slow and expensive process. I've had to take on a second job just to cover the legal fees and try to pay down the debt Clara accumulated. I've also started therapy, because the emotional toll of this has been immense. I feel like I'm constantly on edge, paranoid, and utterly alone. My therapist has been instrumental in helping me process the grief and anger. She's validated my feelings and told me that my parents' reaction is a form of gaslighting and enabling. It's helped me to understand that I'm not crazy for feeling this way, but it doesn't make the pain go away. The hardest part is knowing that even if Clara is convicted, even if I get some of the money back, which is a big if, given her lack of assets, my family will never be the same. My relationship with my parents is irrevocably broken. I mourn the family I thought I had, the parents I thought would always be in my corner. It feels like a death, but without the closure. I've been advised by my lawyer to go no contact with Clara and minimal contact with my parents, at least until the legal proceedings are over. It's hard, especially during holidays, but I know it's for the best. Every interaction with them just brings back the pain and reinforces their toxic dynamic. So, here I am, on the internet, desperately seeking advice from strangers. Has anyone ever dealt with something like this? How do you navigate the emotional fallout of a family member committing such a profound betrayal? How do you cope when your own parents abandon you for the perpetrator? How do you rebuild your life when it feels like everything has been torn down? I feel so lost and overwhelmed. I don't know if I can ever truly forgive Clara, and I don't know if I can ever reconcile with my parents. I just want to feel safe and secure again. I want my life back, but I'm afraid of the future. I'm afraid of what else Clara might do. I'm afraid of being alone without my family. But I also know that I can't go back to the way things were. I can't let them continue to enable her at my expense. I just don't know how to move forward without feeling like I'm constantly fighting an uphill battle. Any wisdom, shared experiences, or just words of encouragement would be greatly appreciated. Thank you for listening to my story.